Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee Moaning. My God, what a kick-ass bollocks scramble that's been. Mum, if you're watching, sending you a big hug. We've had all sorts of dramas, all sorts of health dramas, all sorts of things going on. Really, guys, I've come here because I need to see you all and I need the distraction. I really wasn't going to do this. It looked pretty tight to do this today, but all will become clear with time. But good morning, everyone. Morning. Thank you for all of your contributions this week. That's what I wanted to say. It's been, I have to say, I think Coffee Moaning, me and Nance were talking about this yesterday and last night. Coffee Moaning has been incredibly cathartic, important, and I think quite impressive in terms of the all-round kind of conversations, contributions from you guys. I think the topics we've done have been kind of interesting, and I'm proud of what you and we have done. This means nothing without you guys folded in. It's like, those kind of balls that you create out of elastic bands. Every one of you is an elastic band, and everything goes into making a ball. And then what do you do with the ball? You bounce the ball, and then you throw the ball, and then Toffee goes and fetches the ball, and then growls at us. Morning, Billy Talon. My wife, Sky Talon, is feeling unwell. Could you give us some spirits, please? Sky Talon, reach for the stars, but don't be disappointed if you don't hit the moon. I hope you feel better, Sky. Hope you feel better. Sending you love. That's Americans, as I understand it, Billy, I think you're in the UK, aren't you? Yeah. Anna Charolumbus, Tottenham didn't do, oh God, look, it's been such a dramatic last 12 hours. Tell me what the score was. Please tell me it was another league loss. We're perilously close to, relegation. Anyway, what are we going to be talking about? Trump punishes the International Criminal Court, sanctions, punishes, threatens, like a proper mobster. He's everything. Oh, 4-0, flipping heck. Oh my God almighty. Okay. We're going down. I mean, if we go down, that'll be the first time in my life that we've not been in the Premiership. Anyway, sorry, can't get distracted. So Trump, I want to talk about the ways in which the Trump BB, the biggest baby in the universe, kind of managing of this entire absolute horror story in Gaza and the Middle East, how it is so akin to The Godfather or, Goodfellas or any number of kind of, mobster films. The Sopranos was infinitely more psychotherapeutic, wasn't it? How is Natasha Tiramos kicks us off with a brilliant opening salvo? How is anyone supposed to believe in democracy anymore? It doesn't exist. You see, the problem is, Natasha, it's not that it doesn't exist anymore. It never did, but it's become more overtly apparent. Do you know what I mean? The wool has been pulled from before our eyes. The blinkers have been taken off, and not everyone wants to see it, which is why so many people, when you talk about this, still look at you like going, oh, well, does it really affect us? I can't remember the astonishing quote that the American senator or congressman, Democratic congressman, quoted from Martin Luther King, where, injustice anywhere in the world can bring, threatens justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. And so, bar severed horses' heads in beds, bar golden guns, this unedifying example of two flatulent, flabby, quite sort of disgusting men in personality, in person, sort of dictating terms to, and just with the Palestinian people, the Middle East, and by extension, the world. It's quite shocking. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Netanyahu's creepy as hell gift to the USA. I mean, a gift so creepy, for me, it speaks to just another barbaric chapter in plain sight, refusal to even try and hide quite obvious ethnic cleansing, genocidal, racist, white supremacist, colonialist intentions. And we're then going to talk about possibly a man I found to be, and this bears no judgment on whether he's guilty or not. It's just a personal thing. And we're all allowed to like or not like. People can't stand me. Lots of people can't stand Nads. It's fine. But possibly one of my most, a guy who irritated me more than anyone else on television, Gino D'Acampo, who obviously is caught in the crosshatches of, or the crosshairs, what is it? Of a sexual harassment, sexually inappropriate firestorm over at ITV. Julie, the singing nutcase, we are in the process of getting every single form of mobility kit you can possibly imagine, so don't you worry. Jane Grimsey, it's so unbelievable and crazy. Where is our superhero to swoop in and sort this crap? Well, one thing we do know is that Keir Starmer is no superhero. In fact, he's a kind of insurance salesman who seems to have found himself leading the country. It's very bizarre. So we're going to be talking about those three things. The middle-aged men dropping like flies on TV. Men of us, I like to call them Victoria Moore, men of a certain age falling like flies all over television. What is the gift? Cheeky, we the people. Well, I think you're going to find out in a minute. So Trump punishes the ICC. Trump is imposing, let's go through the story. Trump has signed his gazillionth executive order authorizing aggressive economic sanctions against the International Criminal Court. He accuses the court of illegitimate and baseless actions targeting the US and Israel. This is smart, coming from a guy who was very close to going to prison if he hadn't won the presidency, to the point that very many people, even many people in MAGA, Make America Great Again, think, well, really, what was he most interested in? Dodging prison or leading the country to some kind of new holy land? But, you know, it is a bit smart coming from Trump. And, you know, anyway, so the order grants the US president broad powers to impose asset freezes, travel bans against ICC staff, family members, and anyone else that the US decides were involved in the ICC's efforts to investigate, prosecute citizens of the US or Israel. I would imagine that this throws a huge spanner in the works for George Clooney's wife, who is it Amal Clooney, who herself was one of the leading sort of legal, you know, lawyers, part of the legal team that was responsible for doing all of the research you know, behind, you know, getting to a point where they could issue arrest warrants for Netanyahu. So, you know, so let's not forget, let's just remind ourselves. So we've got Trump, who has been convicted of countless kind of sexual indiscretions. We've got Trump, who so is essentially, you know, he's a convicted felon, but he just doesn't go to prison. We've got Bibi, who's the biggest baby in the planet, who's a wanted war criminal, and is also wanted in court in Israel for massive, you know, misdemeanors and indiscretions and fraud and all this kind of stuff. So he's not, you know, let's just park the minor detail of a genocide to the side. He's not in a good place, Netanyahu, nor is he popular, nor is he good. Just in and of himself, before you even kind of add everything else into the mix. So the idea that America is above the law is just quite staggering, and the fact that they're kind of saying, and so are our mates. Well, what other allies? Everyone else most other countries in the world, obviously Russia doesn't, sign up to the ICC. Now, yes, you're absolutely right, Michu. To what extent will these sanctions have any effect? I think if you are the Clooneys, I think you'd be a bit worried, because it could be that you're banned from travel, you're banned from, you know, lots of kind of assets if you own anything in America. So this will not necessarily be damaging to members of the International Criminal Court, but the signal it sends out is I mean, we are in an astonishing situation where we love America and we love Americans, but the Americans in this movie are the bad guys. And that's really upsetting. I don't know if it's as upsetting for Billy Talon. And I realize that many Americans don't feel the same way. They feel that Trump is obviously in domestic matters, the greatest. You know, we've said it many times before. Trump offers, on one level, a breath of fresh air to cut through the shit of the Democrats and the Republicans over years. But just because he does that, just because he kind of cuts through the kind of fatberg of political speak in Washington, it doesn't mean that everything he says or does is right. And on the issue of Israel and Palestine, everything he said is not only not right, it's about the worst it could be. Now, I want to talk about a word that I find really disturbing and worrying. And this is the idea that the Israeli defense minister, or the Israeli government essentially, have issued orders or are making preparations, have asked the IDF, you know, the most moral army in the world, the IDF, you know, that army that they tend to like to upload footage of them riding children's bikes that have been blown to smithereens. The children, obviously, not the bikes. They like to show footage of themselves wearing women's underwear. It's a very odd proclivity of many IDF members. I don't, you know, and they like to promote this information and sort of share it. There's no shame, there's no fear, there's no worry. So the most, let's not forget, I'm being deeply ironic, the most moral army in the world. They've been issued with this guidance to offer voluntary evacuation. Voluntary, I'm laughing and you'll realize why. So that Trump, Bibi, Israel are trying to reconfigure this, and you can feel even the press, certainly things like the Telegraph, Sky News, you can feel various kind of news outlets in this country trying to get round they're sort of looking at this story and going, where's the presentable, where's the permissible aspect of this ethnic cleansing? What are the words we can use to make this okay? What can we say that means that really what's ethnic cleansing is in fact something that's quite good for the Palestinians, and they should actually be grateful. They've managed to turn it around. They've managed to make the devastation of Gaza sound like a bit like they did with do you remember the famine? Oh, there's a famine. No, there's a man-made famine. And the devastation didn't just happen. There wasn't an earthquake. The Muppet standing next to Trump at the White House was the guy who sanctioned and actioned it and is wanted in an international criminal court for doing it. So when they say, and this really, I've not noticed anyone else pick up on this. You know, now the Americans are saying, no, we're gonna row back. We need to dial back on what Trump was saying. We need to just dial it back. And I thought, oh, okay, thank God, there's someone at home who's got half a brain cell and is like, let's just calm the situation down. And I thought, great, they're dialing back on what he said. It's a classic Trump move. He's flooded the zone. He's thrown too many hand grenades. Everyone's kind of scarpering. But when it all settles, actually, it's all going to be all right. So didn't Trump ever say that? Yes. So the ways in which they were moderating what Trump said, you're right, Billy Talon, is that they won't have to go away permanently. Oh, that's nice. They'll go away temporarily. Don't believe it. Don't trust it. There's no history of this happening. I was staggered and amazed to hear the defense minister saying the greatest thing we can offer, and Netanyahu said it, saying, what a wonderful thing to let people leave in order to come back. Do you know what's really curious about that and what makes me not trust that is prior to October the 7th, Palestinians didn't have the freedom to go anywhere internationally without Israel allowing it. It strikes me as odd, slightly perturbing, and slightly confusing that they are now tripping over themselves, Israel and Netanyahu and the defense minister, to say, oh, but this is voluntary. Everyone, please, can anyone grasp this? Get on, head out. And as soon as everyone's out, doors shut. They ain't going back, and the Palestinians know if they leave, they ain't going back. So when people say, why doesn't Jordan? Why doesn't Egypt? The other problem that Egypt and Jordan also know they have is The radicalization that will be currently happening amongst the younger population of Palestine right now is going to be so much more extreme than anything before, because this is the most extreme devastation the Palestinians have experienced since the Nakba. So the radicalization, the push to resist is going to be so enormous that, of course, anyone pushed out of Gaza is going to be pursuing recriminatory kind of damages from Egypt. And Jordan are so volatile already. They're so precarious financially in it with their infrastructure. They know that this will tip them over and then more than likely make them targets in Israel's regional aggression. And Israel and America know this. They are putting all the other countries, less Saudi Arabia, but all the other countries around Gaza are being put under an enormous amount of stress. I mean, the King of Jordan, you know, we have family in Jordan. You know, Jordan's in one of the most impossible situations where they are financially dependent on America. But I'm telling you now, knowing the situation in Jordan, if people are forced from the West Bank or Gaza into Jordan, the infrastructure of Jordan could easily fail. More kind of fundamentalist kind of opposition, radicalized opposition against, and I'm not necessarily even using those in pejorative terms. If your generation, I mean, look at our COVID generation here and how they've had to readjust their lives and kind of come out of COVID and get back on board with what life is. There's no relationship to imagine an entire generation of kids. So imagine, I don't know, 8th grade kids in Gaza. What's going to be the common denominator amongst 8th graders in Palestine? Let's use that nice, affectionate American educative, point in learning. Most of them are going to unite over what? The fact that they're probably orphans and that most of their friends are either dead or limbless. How would you feel? How would that generation feel? And are we being asked to be surprised that there could be a hostility towards Israel? So going back to the word voluntary, you're going to hear the world's press say, but this is voluntary, or as Billy Talon says, this is temporary. Temporary, the history of the region tells us nothing is temporary. When someone is moved, someone is moved. Look at every settlement, illegal settlement in the West Bank. People are moved, they are evicted, they don't come back. One. Interesting using the word voluntary. It's like voluntary redundancy when a company is really saying to you, you take it or you're fired. They've destroyed the entire infrastructure genocidally, because genocide doesn't just happen in the destruction and killing of bodies or, the industrial kind of destruction of people. Genocide happens in destroying the ability to live. So when Netanyahu kind of quite chuckles, I mean, who wouldn't want to voluntarily, who wouldn't want to voluntarily offer to what's voluntary about this? When they have nothing, when they literally have nothing. And I'm seeing more and more films coming out of, limited films coming out of Gaza of Palestinian families saying, fuck you, and going in and essentially sweeping the floors of balconies that are kind of hanging off an edge. The Palestinians will want to rebuild. So voluntary movement out of the area is going to be the way the West's media, the Telegraph, the Mail, the Sun, Sky News, all of the right-wing, all of the kind of legacy media, voluntary, temporary, these are the words that are going to be used to turn an ethnic cleansing decision into something that when you're down the pub in Wetherspoons and you go, this is fucking awful about the fucking ethnic cleansing. Oh, it's not forever. It's temporary. Oh, don't worry. It's voluntary. See how they do it? That's how they get the words out there. They get the words out there. They get the non-aggressive words out there. That's how it works. Anyway, I've turned the volume down on this. I'll try and describe it as it happens. We've got footage of Bibi, the biggest baby in the Middle East, in his kind of concierge, is it? His entourage, his kind of corsage. I don't know what it is. He's in his car driving around Washington. Some eggs get thrown at them. So pro-Palestinian activists egg Netanyahu's motorcade. There we go. Not entirely sure. There's a great shot just there of what looked bigger than an egg, but you've got footage on screen now of eggs and liquid and things being thrown at sort of cars that have got the Israeli flag and the American flag, lines of police officers. We're looking at gutters with the kind of paint or whatever it is that was thrown. Sadly, eggs thrown at a car isn't going to do much. Do you know what I mean? And also probably the FBI is probably monitoring every single person on the streets there. But in the most chilling detail, coming out of Netanyahu's visit to America is this. I can't remember which film it was, but a golden gun or a gold, here's a gift from the state of Israel. Netanyahu has given Donald Trump a golden pager. Israel's prime minister gave this golden pager to President Trump with a sign that says, "Press with both hands," in an apparent celebration of attacks in Lebanon that killed members of Hezbollah. Children were among the victims when Israel planted explosives in devices used by the armed group Hezbollah. And he sent a golden... this feels like something, if you wrote this into the script of your American blockbuster about the Bond villain who James Bond didn't quite get rid of and is living to hurt another day. This is Bond. The man with the golden pager. He sent him he's given him a golden... Now, I wouldn't be at all surprised if that golden pager is mounted. This is how vicious Netanyahu is. This is how deeply sinister and vicious Netanyahu is. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that golden pager... Now, obviously, people are going to go, well, it was terrorists. Hang on. Innocent people were killed in this explosion. There are transactional international laws of engagement in war. You don't just attack a state with devices. And just the weirdest part of all of this is I wouldn't be at all surprised if that tree that it's attached to isn't possibly or probably a section of an olive tree from a former Palestinian farm that's been resettled. I don't know that, but that's the extent to which it's just soaked in malice and pure colonialist evil glee. This is one of the most disgusting pieces of international political set dressing I think I've ever seen. The idea that he can give this, and the petrifying aspect of this gift is an absolute clear lack of any moral awareness that this is in the heights of poor taste, bad taste. A golden pager with the instruction on it, pressed with both hands, so that whenever Trump looks at it, he can think of, what was the idea? Press on these two buttons so you can think of Arabs exploding. Press on this so you can think of Arabs exploding. That's the message. Is it a failed olive tree? I mean, I don't know. The levels of sinister, disgusting evil beneath these characters. It wouldn't surprise me if that was nailed to a failed cross section of an olive tree. We need to find that out. Can someone in this live go online? That image for me goes to and the fact that it's gold. The fact that it's gold when you have a nation that has not an olive pip to scratch together. And I go back to what we subclipped and popped on my Instagram the other day. It is interesting that The View, Nadia posted it last night, that The View talk about this now that Trump's in place. But in a weird way, yes, they should have spoken about it sooner. Yes, they didn't talk about it when Biden was there. And yes, they're talking about it now because there is a shared hostility and antipathy towards Trump that means everyone can get on board. I'm still not hearing anyone in the UK who is opposed to Trump on fundamentally everything. You hear lots of people, I've heard lots of people say, oh, Trump, he's a nutter, or, oh, I can't get on board with Trump, and, oh, just don't listen to him, he's a complete psycho, and being outspoken and sharing and talking about this. But then when Trump says about ethnic cleansing, everyone who's a critic of Trump goes, what the fuck? I'm sorry, silence kills. It is the cross-section of an olive tree. Wow. Wow. I don't think I've known evil like this. The country pumpkin, from my understanding as a gardener, it does look like a cross-section of an olive tree, possibly an olive tree taken from Lebanon. Do you think? And it was interesting watching Question Time last night. It was really, thank you, Dina, for suggesting we watch it. You know, the spineless Labour MP sat there, and the line that we're getting from Starmer and Lammy and everyone is this: we believe in a two-state. No. We know you believe in a two-state solution. Any rational, reasonable, humane person believes that the state of Israel should live in harmony alongside the state of Palestine. But that does require Israel to stop nibbling away at the West Bank and taking more of it, and allow freedom of movement and trade and people in Gaza. That might help stop a hostile attitude. So, yeah, you know, we all believe in a two-state solution, ideally. But what do they say? No, we know that. But what do you think of what Trump said? No, none of them will call this out for what it is. None of them. None of them. Bridget M, on one of our morning shows here in Australia, they had a guest joking about buying off the plan in Gaza now. Absolutely disgusting. They've been selling slots and lots and chunks of Gaza and the West Bank in New York and Brooklyn for years. Sorry, Alison Barber, what were you saying you didn't agree with? Sorry, sweetie. Don't agree, Mark. I can't remember the many things I've come out with. The USA, Erin Bullimore, how are you, Erin? The USA has never given any country back to its people without leaving puppet governments or leaders behind so they can continue to manipulate the country for its resources and trade. Absolutely. And going back to, you're absolutely right. The West, America principally, and Israel, the reason they're not interested in Hamas, that what they want in there is they want a leadership that obviously they don't want the violence. No one wants the violence. But you don't just stop violence and still treat people awfully. Otherwise, you're not getting to the root of the cause of the violence. And that's why it suited Bibi, the biggest baby in the universe, to fund Hamas. Years and years ago, Bibi has funded Hamas. He had a vested interest in Hamas being in opposition to the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization. He had a vested interest in there being a wedge between them. But then at the point that Hamas became stridently resistant and opposed to Israel, at that point, it's like, oh, fucking hell, no, we don't want Hamas. So you're right. The West will only be happy once this becomes a puppet state. What they're trying to do is they're trying to get the Palestinians to a place where they're as hobbled and as dependent, and thereby in a totally codependent relationship with America. And what the West can't deal with, and anyone could deal with here, is, and unfortunately it's happened in the most appalling ways, which are totally reprehensible, violence, etc., etc. They don't like the fact that they're not behaving. This is imperialists and colonialists basically going, behave yourselves. And if you don't behave yourselves, we'll flatten your land and we'll ship you out. Anyway, there we go. They have destroyed 800,000 olive trees, which is the lifeline. The olive oil, the olives, this is the blood of a nation. The symbolism of the olive tree to Palestinians and their families is beyond comprehension here in the UK. We can't wrap our heads around it, but there's a symbolism as much as a economic dependency. And when you think of the beauty of an olive tree and the tens of thousands of years it takes for them to grow and get to the place that they yield this elixir that sort of is so good for everyone, and then the settlers come in and they just burn them and chop them down, it's hideously barbaric what is going on. And all we're asked to think about by the West is the barbarism of October the 7th. Without talking about, we mustn't talk about the barbarism the other way. You're not allowed to talk about the barbarism the other way. I mean, obviously everyone is talking about the barbarism, we do all the time. But then you're called anti-Semitic, then you're called anti-Zionist, then you're said that, you know, opponents of any analysis of this situation want to silence people by claiming it's too easy a trope now. It's too easy to say you're being anti-Semitic. It doesn't float anymore. Okay, let's move on to Gino D'Acampo, and then we'll move on to the Friday quiz. Gino D'Acampo, and if those of you, in case any of you don't know him, if you don't, you're lucky. I found him the most irritating man on television. Here he is, cheeky chappy with a penis warmer in the form of the Italian flag. Likes getting his stuff out, likes telling us he's Italian, likes cheeky chappy. He's a cheeky chappy. Look, there he is. He's got a tattoo. He's got a really Italian hairy chest. Cheeky chappy. There he is. Great set of white gnashers. Calm down. Cheeky chappy. Wears really cool clothes, really cool glasses. You know, is really cool. Oh, look, there he is with even old Gordon Ramsay thinking, do I need to put that on a chopping board and lop it off? Oh, look, there he is with Philip Schofield. This is possibly one of the high points of ITV there we're looking at. I think what they're considering what to do with, is that an NTA award? I think they're considering where to put it. And yeah, there he goes. Look, cheeky chappy. Okay, so what's the story? What's the story, Balamori? Revealed the bombshell allegations Gino D'Acampo is facing, including a disgusting cornetto threat, a crude joke about a young colleague's perfect tits, and an aggressive sexual demand. At least one production company was reportedly aware of complaints about the Italian star's behavior, yet continued to work with him on further TV projects. I think it's interesting that ITV News conducted the investigation. I think that, to me, and as we're talking about this last night, that to me smacks of a broadcaster. I think, you know, the BBC could learn from this. The broadcaster trying to get ahead of the story before the story becomes about a failure of monitoring, if you like. Do you know what I mean? I think it's kind of interesting that it's ITV News that have uncovered this or revealed this or reported this. But let's just go through. So one woman told the investigation that D'Acampo made a vulgar sexual comment towards her during a magazine shoot in 2011. She claims the celebrity chef said he would like to turn me over and F me up the A against the kitchen counter in front of the entire crew. She says, I remember a ripple of laughter while others looked nervously into their cups of tea. She said the incident left her feeling horror and shock. D'Acampo's legal team firmly denied this allegation, saying this allegation from almost 15 years ago has never until now via a media request been raised or put to Mr. D'Acampo. He does not recall it nor accept it. I do think when you're a cheeky chappy, and he's a cheeky chap, I think you're going to be hard pushed to remember every single thing you've said that could be deemed offensive if, like a stick of rock, it's laced through you. You're not going to, of course, he's not going to remember saying it. Now, the idea that, why has it come up on a media investigation? I think we have to understand, do we have to raise and reiterate the same arguments every time with everyone? The power balance, you know, people People think, oh, I better not, I shouldn't, I better not say anything. It's not that there was a threat to their lives, but it's inappropriate. And that's what it is. It's inappropriate. Faith Goodman says, I think him and Scove were so up themselves that they thought they were above the normal judgment on live TV. Yeah, Creatorholic, he sails close to the wind on TV. Never liked his childish, like that behavior, childish titillation. Wouldn't surprise me if he's more inappropriate off camera. Anyone here who thinks, oh, for God's sake, it's harmless fun. Everyone needs to grow some. What else have we got? What other accusations? Boxer's short greeting. Another woman alleged that when she went to brief D'Acampo about a location shoot, he opened the doors in his boxer shorts. She said he then jumped on the bed and made a crude comment about his penis, joking about his size. He jumped on the bed, put his leg up, made a crude reference, joking about his size. We had to sort of sit there facing him, and he made a reference to his dick, basically saying, don't worry, it's only small, and sort of flicking it. It kind of, the problem with this is, for me, whenever I saw him, it was like, look, I'm stupid. I like being stupid. I behave like a toddler. He's like an overactive toddler, isn't he? He's like a hyperactive toddler. But if this is what's happening in plain sight, what more could there be? I mean, that's always the question, isn't it? I mean, it's got to be clear. Gino D'Acampo's team. I mean, it's so weird when they say Gino D'Acampo's team denies the. Who's going to admit them? You've got a guy who constantly gets his toddler out on telly. Cornetto threat in a separate claim. D'Acampo has also been accused of telling a junior member of staff he would F their girlfriend if he wasn't provided with an ice cream. I was present when Gino said to the runner, you see, this is just utterly unacceptable. If you don't get me a cornetto, I will F your girlfriend, one woman said. Another crew member who witnessed the incident said the remark, which is alleged to have happened during filming for Gino's Italian Express, had stuck in my head for years. He was using his power to bully and intimidate us for what? A cookery program. I have to confess, even the kind of the American Road Trip. I mean, I'm a fan of Gordon Ramsay's Nightmare Kitchens. But you felt the testosterone, didn't you, in that show? However funny it might have become, you felt the kind of the argy-barginess of boys. And I often would look at that show and think, God only knows what the hell's going on off camera. In a separate claim, the TV chef is also alleged to have made a crude comment about a colleague's breasts during filming in 2018. It's alleged that D'Acampo said, shouldn't we be talking about her TITSs? They're perfect, like a mouthful. A different woman has alleged D'Acampo made highly sexualized remarks in 2018 while on set for the filming of Gordon, Gino, and Fred's road trip. She claimed, without saying hello, good morning, he just announced loudly that he felt like fucking that morning. Yeah, I really feel like a shag this morning. And off he went. D'Acampo is also accused of saying, when are we all going to get drunk and have sex together, to members of a production team. One woman who worked on Gino's Italian Express said his cheeky, chappy persona allows him to hide in plain sight. If I see him on TV, I have to leave the room. And isn't it weird? Obviously, he's never. I would feel the same. I always felt the same. I could never get on board with the let's all be all right and soft and kind with. I just thought, no, he's fucking annoying and he's always inappropriate. And I bet he's an absolute nightmare and liability. If he's getting it out on telly, Natasha Tiramos, then he's definitely got no problem getting it out off telly. I'm not surprised. In reality, though, Billy Talon, times were different back then. It's like tearing down statues of great people because they own slaves. I'm not condoning it, but times were different. Comedians of today are doomed. Yes, but I do think all of this kind of, I think the fact that it's kind of like it's like a hashtag Me Too, isn't it? Of words. In the British TV industry, and it is just men of a certain age, and I've heard that too. Faith Goodman, Julie, he hammed up his fake accent. I've heard that. I don't think he's half as Italian in real life as he is on telly. Why is the cheeky chappy acceptable? I just hate that phrase. He's a cheeky. What cheeky? He's just a cheeky chappy. He's just a cheeky chappy. Anyway, Well, there we go. Thanks for all your comments and all your contributions. Let's do the quiz of the week. That's what you're all here for, really. For those of you who don't know, we do a quiz. Well, we haven't done one about the week preceding. We did them all of last year. So here is a quiz of the week. Get your pens and paper out. Let's do the walk. Get your fingers to do the walking, and let's see how across this week's news we all have been. It's been a big week, but often, as we know, the BBC quiz of the week can sometimes be quite rarefied in its questions. So let's see what happens. So question 1, ready. A pub landlady in England unexpectedly had to give away £1,500 worth of beer. This was a funny story. After offering customers a free pint every time their local football team scored. Which side thumped their opponents to see Becky Webster stand her customer almost 300 pints? I can guarantee you it's not Tottenham Hotspur. Was it A, Northampton Town, B, Notts County, or C, Nottingham Forest? That's right. That's right, Faith Goodman. What is it? A, Northampton, B, Notts County, or C, Nottingham Forest? I think that's sweet of a pub to say, we'll stump you a pint for every goal scored, and then the result was 7-0. It was Nottingham Forest, so the answer is C. Very funny. Question 2, Donald Trump followed through on his threat to impose tariffs on all Chinese goods imported to the US, saying he wanted to protect the nation. China hit back with its own measures, including an anti-monopoly investigation into which US tech giant? Is it A, Amazon, B, Google, or C, Meta? China hit back against Trump's tariffs with their own investigation of which US tech giant. Was it A, Amazon, B, Google, or C, Meta? Oh no! No. The answer is B, Google. Question 3, singer Beyonce won Album of the Year at the 67th Grammy Awards in LA for her 8th album, Cowboy Carter, a win which many said was long overdue. Who was the last black woman to win this award? Was it A, Lauryn Hill, B, Whitney Houston, or C, Janelle Monáe? Who was the last black woman to win this award? Was it A, Lauryn Hill, B, Whitney Houston, or C, Janelle Monáe? D, says Billy Talon. She isn't country. I know it's hugely popular, but that sort of top track from the album literally makes me want to tear my Achilles heel out and use it as a kind of device to time my brain until my brain explodes out. I hate it. The answer is A, Lauryn Hill. Question 4, a brood of tiny rare frogs was born after their fathers were transported thousands of miles to help them give birth at London Zoo. Off the coast of which country do southern Darwin's frogs normally live? Is it A, Argentina, B, Chile, or C, New Zealand? Me too, but I thought it's a sort of tendon diagram. Off the coast of which country do southern Darwin frogs normally live? Is it A, Argentina, B, Chile, or C, New Zealand? GM Lovely says New Zealand. Claire Hayward says Argentina. But Hazel Marbon and Sharon Carter and Grace Ann Martin are right with Chile. Question 5. The Rolling Stones led tributes to the actress and singer Marianne Faithfull, who died aged 78. As a teenager, she abandoned school after meeting the band. But what was the top 10 song that launched her own career? Was it A, As Tears Go By, B, Come and Stay With Me, or C, This Little Bird? What was the top 10 song that launched Marianne Faithfull's career after she abandoned school? Was it A, As Tears Go By, B, Come and Stay With Me, or C, This Little Bird? Vic says A, Anna Charalumba says C, GM Lovely says A. The answer is A, As Tears Go By. Question 6. A badly burnt scroll, which was almost destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, has been digitally unwrapped, providing the first look inside it for almost 2,000 years. From which Roman site was the scroll recovered? Was it A, Herculaneum, B, Oplontis, or C, Pompeii? From which Roman site was a badly burnt scroll, which was almost destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, digitally unwrapped? Where was it from? A, Herculaneum, B, Oplontis, or C, Pompeii? Faith Goodman says Herculaneum. Are you a fan of history? It is A, Herculaneum. I said Pompeii and I was wrong. Question 7. The owners of Ripley Castle on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales National Park revealed why they'd put it up for sale after it had been in the family for 700 years. Featuring 11 bedrooms and grounds which hold a tea room, a hotel and a cricket pitch, for how much is the castle and its estate on the market? A, £11 million, B, £21 million, or C, £31 million? How much is the 11-bedroom Ripley Castle on the market for? Is it A, 11 million, B, 21 million, or C, 31 million pounds? Diane Lloyd, Margaret O'Brien, Faith Goodman, The Country Pumpkin, Chloe Lee are all correct. It's B, 21 million. I got 5 out of 7. How did you all do? Anyone got 7 out of 7? That was quite a gentle little tour. Someone could have easily got 7 there. Excuse me. Now, don't forget, tonight it was touch and go as to how and if it was going to happen, given all of the shenanigans that's happening this morning. Mark, my wife has been a member for 2 years. How does she go about getting card? Look in the description box beneath any of these uploads, this one included. Pop that little drop-down menu, and you'll see there's a link to a Google spreadsheet, or you input basically your details. Anyone else who's been with us for over 2 years, well, the vast majority of people have already received their cards, but there'll be some of you who hit the 2-year mark, obviously, more recently. You follow that link and it goes in. Otherwise, Michelle, we can't manage all the individual emails, and so your details will go in there and we will send a card out. So get her to do that, Billy. I was going to say, yeah, so tonight at 7 o'clock, big news. In the family friends area, if you remember, it's the cook-along with the Curly Cooks. And I think Dina, I've heard on the grapevine, is also going to be throwing in some Zumba moves. So check that out. Faith got 4 out of 7. Laura Williams got 5 too. Well done. So guys, lots of love. See you later. What have we got here? GB Edits gifted someone a membership today. So thank you very much. Billy Talon, I think you might have been a member before, but you're back in. Welcome. John Cameron, welcome. Daniel Derbyshire, welcome. And Elaine Flew, you've been a member for 37 months. As soon as the pin badges arrive, we will be issuing, in a similar way, we'll be posting a similar link. And you say that you've been with us for 5 years. We check that you've been with us for 5 years. And then we send you a pin badge to celebrate. And you can use that pin badge either in a cap, either in a coat, or if, like me, when I was about 6, you can just poke it at people. It really hurts. Okay, guys, have a lovely day. Have a lovely Friday. Lots of love. And Mum, if you're watching, big hugs, and I'll be speaking to you straight after this.